She saved his life. And that was the biggest mistake he ever made. Welcome back. Or if this is your first time here, welcome to the family. I am so glad you are here today because the story I am about to tell you, it is the kind of story that will have you sitting up straight, forgetting you were even tired. Before I dive in, I need you to do 3 quick things for me right now. First, smash that like button. If this story moves you, I want to know it. Second, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this again. Third, share this video with someone right now. Send it to that friend who loves a good story. Drop it in a WhatsApp group. Let somebody else feel what you are about to feel. And I have one special request. Drop a comment below and tell me 2 things. Number 1, where in the world are you watching this from? Nigeria? UK? USA? Canada? Ghana? Wherever you are, I want to know. Number 2, what time is it right there right now? Is it morning? Afternoon? Or are you sneaking this in late at night when you should be sleeping? I always love to see how far around the world this little channel reaches. You people are everywhere, and it never stops amazing me. Now, let us get into tonight's story. She was a trauma nurse. He was the most feared man in Lagos. Their worlds were never supposed to collide. But on a rainy Tuesday night, when his blood was on her hands and his life depended on her silence, everything changed. And neither of them would ever be the same again. What would you do if the most dangerous man in Lagos walked into your emergency room at 2 a.m. and no one dared to help him but you? A shattered gold wristwatch skidded across the cold hospital floor. Nobody in that emergency room moved to pick it up. The fluorescent lights of Victoria Island General Hospital buzzed overhead like a bad omen. It was 2:18 in the morning, the kind of hour when Lagos stops pretending to be civilized. Nurse Amara was standing at the triage station, a half-finished cup of lukewarm Milo in one hand, her eyes scanning the patient board with the quiet efficiency of someone who has seen everything. She was 27 years old. Sharp. Careful. A woman who had learned early that survival in the ER meant keeping your emotions locked behind a steel door. She thought she had seen the worst Lagos had to offer. Then, the entrance door slammed open. There was no ambulance, no paramedics calling out vitals. Instead, a convoy of blacked-out vehicles had mounted the curb outside, their engines still running. 3 men burst through the hospital entrance. 2 of them were enormous, the kind of men who made door frames feel small. Between them, they supported a 3rd figure. He was tall, lean but powerfully built, dressed in a dark handmade kaftan shirt soaked through with blood on his left side. His head dipped slightly as they entered, but as they cleared the entrance, he lifted his chin.
She thought the danger was over. She had absolutely no idea he already knew where she bought her morning coffee and had been watching her for 3 days. 3 days passed. The chaos of the ER mercifully swallowed Amara whole. She worked back-to-back shifts. She slept in 4-hour intervals. She told herself that the man named Zayn was nothing more than one strange night, a ghost of the trauma bay, already dissolved back into the shadow world he came from. She almost believed it. On Thursday morning, she stopped at her usual spot, Brew House, a small coffee cafe tucked off Adeola Odeku Street. She ordered her regular, 1 large Americano, black, no sugar, the only luxury she allowed herself before a brutal day shift. She was scrolling through a wall of unread messages when the barista, a young man named Emeka who usually complained to her about his university assignments, set her cup on the counter with an unusually tense smile. "It's sorted, Nurse Amara." She frowned, reaching for her card. "What do you mean?" "The gentleman outside already paid. Said to tell you to have a good shift." Amara turned slowly toward the glass. Parked directly outside, consuming 2 spaces with casual. They did not threaten her with a gun. What they did was far more dangerous. A used the one thing she could never walk away from. Matron Adewale was a woman who ran the hospital the way a general runs a battalion, with efficiency, severity, and zero tolerance for disorder. She was not warm. She was not cruel. She was simply immovable. When Amara entered the office, Matron Adewale was seated behind her desk with her hands folded over a crisp manila folder. She looked like a woman delivering a verdict. "Sit down, Nurse Jose." Amara sat. The hospital received an anonymous philanthropic donation this morning. A significant one. Enough to fully fund the renovation of our pediatric dialysis unit and establish a permanent trauma surgery scholarship program. "That's wonderful," Amara said carefully. Her voice did not match her heart rate. "It comes with a condition." Matron Adewale slid the manila folder across the desk. "The donor has requested a private, full-time medical retainer, round-the-clock access, and they have specified you by name for the position." The silence in the room was absolute. "I am an emergency trauma nurse," Amara said, her voice very quiet. "I don't do private work." "You do now, or you don't." Matron Adewale's voice was not unkind, but it was final. She opened the folder to reveal a contract. The compensation figure printed at the bottom made the air leave Amara's lungs. "I decline," Amara said, pushing the paper back. Matron Adewale removed her glasses. She set them on the desk. "There is more, Amara. The donor's legal representatives contacted us with additional information." A pause. "They are aware of your outstanding student loan balance of 640,000 naira. They are aware of your mother's..."
Most women would have run from this man. Amara Osei drove straight to his penthouse to look him in the eye and tell him where he could go. The building was on Bordelon Road in Ikoyi, a restored colonial-era high-rise that had been gutted and rebuilt into something that whispered obscene wealth. The private elevator opened directly into the penthouse foyer. Amara stepped out. Her jaw was set. Her fists were buried in the pockets of her trench coat. She had not brought a bag. The opulence of the space felt like a taunt. Hand-laid marble floors, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire Lego skyline. Original paintings that probably cost more than the hospital's annual budget. She refused to be impressed. Kalu was waiting. "Miss Osei, he's in the study. Follow me." "I know the way out. I'll find the way in myself." She marched past him down the corridor and pushed the double doors open without knocking. Zayn was standing by the window, dressed in a crisp white shirt and dark trousers, a phone pressed to his ear. He looked entirely healed, the dangerous aura around him amplified, not diminished in the daylight. He ended the call as she entered. The window came in like a thunderclap, and in that single second, everything Amara thought she knew about herself came rushing back. The reinforced glass buckled inward with a sound like a cannon shot, raining across the Persian rug in lethal sheets. Zayn did not think, he moved. He yanked Amara off her feet and threw his body over hers, dropping them both hard behind the massive oak desk as a second round punched through the leather armchair where he had been standing one breath ago. "Kalu!" he roared. The study doors crashed open. Kalu dove in low, weapon already drawn, laying down covering fire toward the shattered window. "Sniper! Elevated position, likely the building on Glover Road." Amara's face was pressed against the carpet. Zayn's solid frame pinned her down, shielding her completely. She could feel his heartbeat slamming against her back. Controlled. Furious. "Or you hit," he demanded, his voice low and urgent at her ear. "No." She was hyperventilating, but her medical training was already pushing through the panic, cataloging, assessing. "No, I'm not hit." "Stay down." He shifted off her and drew a handgun from an ankle holster with terrifying speed, crawling toward the edge of the desk. "They tracked her to confirm you were here," Kalu reported, crouching behind a marble pillar. "The Savaro Syndicate. They must have had the building under surveillance."
Amara's blood turned to ice. Tracked her. Because of what Zayn had done at the hospital, the public strings he had pulled, the attention he had drawn, she was no longer invisible. To his enemies, she was now an asset, a pressure point.
He thought he had brought a frightened lamb into his den. He was about to discover that the lamb had teeth, and she had been hiding them for 10 years. Amara let out a low, flat laugh, the kind that carries no warmth. You think you're the most dangerous thing I've ever faced. She straightened her spine. Your intelligence network is severely lacking, Zayn. Before he could respond, the wall-mounted comms panel crackled. Kalu's voice, tight, breathless. Boss, the breach isn't coming from outside. Someone bypassed the biometric lock on the private elevator. We have a 6-man tactical team moving through the penthouse. They aren't Savaro men. Zayn moved instantly to the security monitors, punching in a code. 6 men in unmarked tactical gear appeared on the feeds, moving through his corridors with methodical, terrifyingly precise efficiency. Amara stepped up beside him. She studied the screens in silence. They're not cartel, she said. Her voice was flat, professional. Look at their footwork. Heel-to-toe displacement. Silhouettes compressed to minimize target profile. They're covering blind angles using a close-quarters breach pattern. She pointed at the screen. Specifically, a formation used by Vanguard private military contractors. Savaro street soldiers use overwhelming force and automatic weapons. These are trained operators. Zayn turned to look at her slowly. How does a trauma nurse know Vanguard tactical formations? Amara met his gaze without flinching. Because before I was a trauma nurse, before the student debt and the double shifts and the bulletproof cover identity, I was the primary cleaner for the Osei Syndicate. A pause. My real name is Amara Osei Bonsu. My father was Chief Edmund Osei Bonsu. He ran the Port Harcourt corridor before your father's organization dismantled. He had spent his entire life collecting weapons, soldiers, and power. He never expected the most dangerous ally he would ever find to be a woman in nursing scrubs. The smoke alarm screamed through the ruined penthouse. Kalu, the traitor, was on the marble floor, clutching his shattered knee, his weapon gone. He looked up, expecting Zayn. Instead, Amara stepped through the smoke first. She kicked his handgun across the floor without breaking stride. She looked down at him, with an expression that contained no anger, no triumph, and no mercy. Only clarity. Zayn walked up slowly beside her. He looked at the carnage, at the man who had been his most trusted shadow, bleeding on imported marble. Then he looked at the woman standing next to him. I underestimated you, he said. It was not a performance. It was not flattery. It was the rarest thing John Zayn Arafimi had ever offered anyone. The truth. Amara ejected her magazine and caught it in her palm. She finally turned to look at him. The ghost of a... Now, before you go anywhere, I need you to stay with me for just one more moment, because this story carries something real inside it. Amara Osei spent 10 years hiding. She was a woman with an extraordinary history, extraordinary skills, and extraordinary strength, disguised as something ordinary, something people overlooked, something they underestimated. And here is what I want you to take from that. The most powerful version of yourself is not always the loudest one. Sometimes the greatest strength you carry is the one you have not yet shown the world, because the world was not ready for it yet. But it is there. It has always been there. Amara did not become dangerous the night the glass shattered. She was dangerous long before Zayn ever found her. He simply created the circumstances that made her stop hiding. What circumstances are asking you to stop hiding right now? And for those of you who feel like you are being cornered by debt, by pressure, by people who think they can own you because you need something from them, remember this. A trap is only a trap if you have no way out.
Amara always had a way out. She simply chose her moment. Choose your moment. Never let fear, debt, or someone else's power make you forget who you were before life made you small. You were built for more than surviving. You were built to stand. Outro. Close. Warm smile, direct eye contact with camera. That's the story for today, and I hope it stayed with you. If this story moved you even a little, like this video. It takes 2 seconds and it means everything to a creator like me. If you are not subscribed yet, please do it right now. New stories go up every week and you do not want to miss what's coming next week. Share this with someone who needs to hear the lesson today. You know who they are. And I am still waiting. Drop your comment below. Where in the world are you watching from? And what time is it right there, right now? I read every single comment. Every single one. I'll see you in the next story. Take care of yourselves, and remember, you are never just what people think you are.